Good afternoon, everyone. I am Hu Chanpeng, a faculty member at the School of Psychology, Nanjing Normal University. I am honored to be part of this symposium. It is a pity that I cannot be in Seoul and present in person. I hope you had enjoyed the past 2 days in Seoul and enjoy the rest of OHBM. Today, I'm going to share with you a very simple fact: the gap between what we aim to study and what we are studying as a field. Our meeting is called Organization of Human Brain Mapping. We as a field aimed at studying the brain of all humans, not just the Koreans, Chinese, Americans, or European, but all humans. The problem is, who are we actually studying? In psychology, researchers has long criticized the representativeness of our sample. As early as 1986, Sear argued that we were studying the psychology of second-year college students. In 1992, Graham argued that our psychology is about white middle class. 2010, Henrik and colleagues coined the term weird, which means that we psychologists only study samples from Westerner, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic societies. The acronym WEIRD became popular, and many researchers nowadays know that psychology is weird, and many of our findings may not be generalized to other non-weird societies. But how about neuroimaging studies, as we are human brain mapping here? Are neuroimaging studies also weird? In 2023, my colleagues led by Dr. Zhi Chen conducted a systematic review of samples in neuroimaging studies that used machine learning techniques to predict mental disorder. The primary goal of the meta-research was to assess the representativeness of the samples, as well as the other characteristics of these studies. Here is the geographic distribution of the samples in nearly 500 studies included in our research. If we compare it to the world population density map, we can clearly see the inequality across regions. But the sampling bias goes deeper. If we zoom in different countries, we will find that geospatial inequality of sampling within a country. Here is a geospatial map of samples in the US, and here is the one in China. A common trend is that rich regions contributed more samples to our neuroimaging studies. One would ask, how about the other demographic dimensions, for example, race or ethnicity, education levels? Unfortunately, this information are rarely reported in neuroimaging studies. Here are two recent meta-research about the information reported in neuroimaging studies. We found that most people did not report critical demographic information at all. So we used systematic review to try our luck. We searched all meta-research about samples in psychology and human neuroscience with two goals. Firstly, the proportion of each demographic dimensions reported in the literature. Second, on those reported dimensions, are our samples representative? Sorry. So our findings confirmed our previous study that the information about samples country are largely available. So most studies reported the participants' country. However, when it comes to race and ethnicity or education, then only half of the studies reported race and ethnicity in general, and many of the studies did not report this critical information. So here, basically fewer information about race and ethnicity are reported. When it comes to education level and SES, very few studies reported the socio-economic status of our participants. If we zoomed in those reported demographic information, we will find that, as previous study, most of our participants are actually from the viewed region, that is the North American, Europe, Oceania, and Israel. But it is quite different from the world population as the first bar presented here. Which means that our larger systematic review on meta-research also found that most of our participants are from the viewed region. And for other dimensions, for example, the education level, here we dichotomized education level as equal or above college level or below college level. As we can see here, most people in the world actually is below the college level education. However, in psychological and human neuroscience investigations, most of our participants are with college level education or higher. These results were confirmed by our recent reanalysis of big team science. In this big team science, the authors recruited participants from 61 countries with a large sample size. But we found that regardless of the economy of the country, all participants share the same characteristic, that is, they are highly educated. Here are 3 examples, one from Nigeria, one from China, and from the US. Regardless of the population, the educational distribution of the population, all the participants here, the red line, shows that a peak at the higher education. So I will skip other dimensions to save time. Now you may agree with me that there is a sampling bias in our study of human behavior, or probably in neuroimaging studies as well. Thus, this sampling bias matters. Many studies said yes. Here are just 3 examples of those studies. Let's focus on the one that study the relationship between age and brain structure. As we can see here, if the authors, after reweighting the data based on population, the results, the relationship between age and the brain structure changed a lot. Also, I believe that many colleagues at this meeting are concerned the issue of reproducibility, the diversity representativeness of our sample, because diversity and equality reappeared in different symposium. So as we can see from here, and here. So many of us agree that sampling bias exists and it is a problem. The next question is how to move forward. I think the easiest action we can take is to report demographics of our participants. It is better if we have a standardized template for reporting so. Second, we may try to reach the hard-to-reach populations, but it is hard. And so I'm not going to elaborate here, but I am working with developmental economists and colleagues from other fields on a practical guide to do so for psychologists. Equally important is that we should empower scholars from underrepresented groups. But more importantly, we should realize that taking these actions are not easy because it means distribution of financial resources. In a recent meta-research, Duncan and Ray found that the choice of neuroimaging technique is correlated with the economy of the region. Also, as Ricard and colleagues reported last year, non-white researchers in the US are far less funded. So empowering researchers means that we need to distribute more funding to them, but it's not easy either, right? So when we are considering redistributing financial resources, we should also consider how to move on and alleviate the sampling bias under the current power dynamics or economic dynamics, and we should work on the solutions together. And I currently do not have a clear answer. Thank you for your attention, and also thank my colleagues Dr. Zhi Chen and Wei Biao for their great contribution to the work I mentioned above. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Thank you.